If you have ever stood on a rooftop bar in District 1, looking out at the glittering skyline of Ho Chi Minh City, it is almost impossible not to feel a rush of pure optimism. The energy is magnetic. The streets are buzzing, the population is young, and the economic growth is visible in every skyscraper going up. It feels like a place where anyone with a good idea and some capital can build an empire overnight. But there is a very different story playing out on the ground, one of empty storefronts and quickly depleted savings.
It is a classic gold rush mentality. People see the cranes, the young population glued to their smartphones, and the double-digit growth, and they assume the rules of business gravity do not apply here. The truth is, Ho Chi Minh City is a highly sophisticated, hyper-local market that swallows unprepared capital for breakfast. Many foreign investors arrive with a chest full of capital and leave with empty pockets because they fell into the trap of blind investing.
That is a brutal way to put it, but probably necessary. We often hear about people arriving with grand plans and leaving with nothing. What is the fundamental disconnect? Why does a proven business model from the West, or even from other parts of Asia, suddenly fall flat the moment it lands here?
It usually comes down to assuming that what is visible on the surface represents the entire ecosystem. Investors look at cheap street food and low labor costs and think that running a business is going to be cheap and easy. They do not realize that the hidden costs, regulatory hurdles, and cultural nuances are incredibly complex.
Let us break that down, starting with the physical space. Location is everything in retail and hospitality, but in this city, location seems to have its own complex language. You cannot just look at a map and pick a busy spot.
In Ho Chi Minh City, distance is measured by traffic and district character, not kilometers. Each district is like a small city with unique residents, consumer habits, and climates. What works in District 1 business and tourist hub might fail in District 7 large Korean expat community, wealthy families, or Thao Dien in District 2 hipster vibe, Western expats, trendy cafes.
And it is not just about who lives there, it is also about how they actually get around. I have seen businesses set up on what looks like a bustling street, only to realize that the traffic is moving too fast for anyone to actually stop, or there is absolutely no parking for motorbikes.
Parking is a massive make or break factor. If a customer cannot easily park their motorbike within 10 seconds of pulling up, they will keep driving. And then there is the weather. During the rainy season, some of these highly sought-after streets turn into actual rivers. If your storefront is flooded for 3 months of the year, your foot traffic drops to zero, but your landlord still expects the rent on the first of the month.
That sounds like a nightmare. And it leads directly into the regulatory landscape, which seems to be another major hurdle. How do foreign business owners get caught off guard by the legal system here?
Foreign investors often get caught by relying on assumptions or verbal promises. The complex and frequently changing regulations can trap them. For example, they may sign a lease for a great restaurant space, but later find it fails fire safety or food zoning inspections due to structural issues.
And by then, the money is already committed. The landlord has the deposit, the lease is signed, and the business is stuck in bureaucratic limbo.
Exactly. You end up paying rent on a space you cannot legally operate. Navigating foreign ownership laws, licensing, and local zoning requires deep, hyper-local expertise. You cannot rely on a standard real estate agent who just wants to close the deal. You need independent legal advice before you sign anything.
Let us talk about the financial side of things. There is this persistent myth of the cheap market. People think because they can buy a bowl of noodle soup for $2, everything else must be proportionally cheap. But commercial reality is very different, isn't it?
This is where many spreadsheets go to die. Yes, daily living costs can be low, but commercial real estate in prime areas of Ho Chi Minh City is among the most expensive in Southeast Asia. The competition for prime spots is fierce, and landlords know it. Beyond rent, you have high import duties on foreign goods, complex supply chain logistics, and a massive marketing spend.
Why is the marketing spend so high?
Because you are competing against local brands that are incredibly agile. They understand the local consumer psychology intimately. They can pivot their product offerings in a matter of days, and they know how to leverage local social media channels far better than a newcomer. To stand out, you have to spend heavily, and that eats into your margins very quickly.
It seems like the pace of consumer trends here is also incredibly fast. What is popular today might be completely forgotten in 6 months. How does a business build longevity in that kind of environment?
You must constantly adapt as young Vietnamese consumers quickly embrace new trends. Relying on brand loyalty won't work. You need to keep innovating and refreshing your products and customer experience.
So if we contrast these two approaches, we have the blind investor who looks at the surface data, gets excited by the energy, and rushes in. On the other side, what does the smart investor look like? How do they approach this market?
The smart investor is patient and data-driven. Instead of renting a space because it looks busy on a Saturday night, they will sit across the street for a week. They will count the foot traffic at 8 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 9 at night. They will check the flood history of the street. They do not trust verbal assurances. They get everything audited by local legal experts.
And they probably approach the cultural aspect differently too, especially when it comes to managing a local team.
Definitely. The blind investor assumes that a Western management style or a standard corporate hierarchy will work. The smart investor takes the time to understand Vietnamese workplace culture. They know how to build loyalty, how to communicate effectively with local staff, and how to adapt their product to local tastes without losing their brand identity.
It seems like the common thread here is respect. Respecting the local market, the local culture, and the complexity of the environment, rather than treating it as an easy playground. If you had to boil this down to a few golden rules for anyone looking to launch a business here, where would you start?
First, don't go alone. Find trusted local partners like co-founders, lawyers, or consultants with proven experience. Second, do the legwork. Spend weeks on site, talk to business owners, and observe how people spend, rather than relying on online research or pitch decks.
And finally, the financial runway.
Yes, always buffer your runway. Everything takes longer than you think. Licensing, construction, hiring, expect delays. If you do not have a cash buffer for at least 6 to 12 months of zero revenue, you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable position.
It really comes down to shifting your mindset from being an opportunist to being a partner in the city's growth. Ho Chi Minh City is not a short-term gamble, it is a long-term commitment. If you treat it with the respect it deserves, the rewards can be immense.
Absolutely. The potential is real, but only if you are willing to do the work to unlock it.
That is a perfect note to end on. To everyone out there planning their next business move, keep your eyes open, do your homework, and we will see you next time.